The Chitrik Academy is dedicated in loving memory of Rabbi Tzvi Hirsh Chitrik.
Welcome to today's lesson. Today we are going to learn from Tashma over here until the Tashma over here. As with the previous lessons, the Gemara is trying to prove whether a person may take the law into their own hands or not. Let's see. Tashma, come and listen. Vikatsoisa es kappa. The pasuk says that if a woman sees someone fighting with her husband and touches him inappropriately and embarrasses him, the pasuk says, "Vekatzoisa es kappa," we cut off her hand. And what does this mean? Mamein means with money. She has to pay for embarrassing. It doesn't literally mean that we cut off her hand. It means that she has to pay for the embarrassment. So the Gemara says, "My love, what is this case speaking about?" That she cannot lahatzil, to save her husband any other way. And nevertheless we see that she will still be responsible for damaging and embarrassing someone else. So we see that a person cannot take the law into their own hands. So seemingly this is a raya from the Brisa that a person cannot take the law into their own hands. Now the Gemara is going to reject this answer. So let's make it R. It's going to reject this proof. The Gemara says, Loi. No. It could be the case that speak about in that Brisa is sheyechayla lahatzil aidei davar acher. The reason why she is responsible to pay for embarrassing someone else is because she could have saved her husband in another way. And therefore, that is why she is responsible. But in a case where there's no other way to save her husband, maybe she would not be responsible because a person may take the law into their own hands. Now the Gemara is going to try to defend the original proof. So maybe let's make a D over here, that they're trying to defend their proof. R is for rejecting and D is for defending. So the Gemara says, Avol, ein yechel lahatzil, aidei davar acher p'tura. Are you trying to say that if she could have saved her husband some other way, then she will be chayiv? But if she cannot save her husband any other way, she'll be patur? Let's read that again. Avo eina yechala lahatzil. However, if she cannot save her husband, aidei davar acher, what will be the halacha? Patura, are you going to say that she is patur? Ihachi, if so, Adatani Seifa, at the end of that brisa, it says another halacha. It says that the pasuk says v'shalcha yada, that only she is responsible to pay for embarrassing someone else. Prat l'shliach bezdin. However, it's coming to teach us that a shliach bezdin, a messenger of bezdin, who is coming to either arrest someone or to carry out the law, and he embarrasses someone, they will not be responsible. So when it says v'shilcha yada, it means only the woman is responsible, but not a shliach bezdin. If that is the case, if this is the case, lifloig v'lisni bidida. Let's go to our board. The Brisa says two things. That if a woman embarrasses her husband's friend, then she will be responsible to pay. However, a shliach bezdin who embarrasses someone while carrying out the law is not responsible to pay. Now, if the first case is referring to a case where a woman, the reason why she is chayiv is because she could have saved him some other way, then the Brisa should have continued that when is she chayiv if she could have saved him a different way? That's right, other ways to save. And therefore, in such a case, she'll be responsible. So there's other ways to save. However, in a case where there is no other way to save, let's choose a different color. However, if there was no other way, then she will not be responsible. And she'll be patur. So seemingly, the Brisa could have just referred to a case of a woman who embarrassed someone else and divided the case when she'll be responsible to pay and when she won't be responsible. Why does it need to bring in another case of a messenger of Bezdin, a shliach Bezdin, that then she won't be responsible? Just say, in a case where there's no other way to save her husband, she would be responsible. She would not be responsible to pay for damages because she did the right thing. So this is the question that the Gemara is asking on the opinion that says that a person can take the law into their own hands. Let's go back to the Gemara. The Gemara we're right over here. Liflig v'lisni, let the Brisa divide and say, Bidida, in the case of the woman herself, like we said, in the case of the woman herself, say that there are two cases. Sometimes she'll be responsible to pay, and sometimes she will not be responsible to pay. What should it say? B'med var mamurim, when do we say that she'll be responsible to pay? If she could have saved her husband through a different means, other means. However, if she cannot save her husband through a different way, then she'll be pater. So this is how the Gemara is trying to defend the raya that it cannot be that the Brisa is speaking about a case that a person that the Brisa allows someone to take the law into their own hands. Now the Gemara is again going to reject this shlagab, this way of defending it. The Gemara says, Hachanami Kamar. This is exactly what the Brisa is saying. We looked at the Brisa that it's talking about two different people. The first case is speaking about a woman who's saving her husband, and the second case is referring to a shliach bezdin. The Gemara is going to explain now that they're actually the same cases we spoke about. The first case is referring to a woman who had other ways to save her husband. However, if there was no other way, she becomes a shliach bezdin and she'll be pater. The question that the Gemara had asked is that why mention a case of shliach bezdin? Just say in a case of a woman, there are times that she'll be chayiv and times that she'll be pater. So the Gemara is answering that yes, that is what the Brisa is saying. This case and this case are actually the same thing. We're not talking about a separate shliach bezdin case. We're referring to this woman. If she had no other way to save her husband, she's considered a shliach bezdin and she will be pater to pay. Let's see this inside. Hachinami kamar. This is what the Brisa is telling us. That when do we say she's chayiv b'med var mamurim? When do we say that she's responsible to pay for embarrassing the other person? B'shechayla lahatzil aidei davar acher. When she was able to save her husband through other means. Avol eina yechayla lahatzil aidei davar acher. However, if there was no other way to save her husband, nase yada kishliach bezdin. Her hand becomes like a shliach bezdin upatura and she'll be pater. So to summarize, originally the Gemara tried to bring a proof from this Brisa that if a woman embarrasses someone else, she'll be responsible, which we see from that a person cannot take the law into their own hands. So the Gemara says this is not a proof because she'll only be responsible in a case where there are other kinder ways of saving her husband. However, if there's no other way, then she will not be responsible because the person may take the law into their own hands. And this is the end of this lesson.